one of the things we are so lucky at One Rental at a Time is we have contributors with their own channels that is willing to go deep on one rental at a time. And Mr. Millennial Mike is an example of that. He combs through your comments, the spicy, the deep, the good, and we get to talk about it once a week. Mike, I appreciate this, man. It's just so awesome you do this for me and for the audience. Thank you so much. I think we lost your sound.
Took a little vacation. Can you hear me?
I can now.
There we go. All right, my bad. So people have been missing this video segment right here. You've been gone. You've been on a little vacation, and we have some questions for you about how you've converted over to being a crash bro. You know, about the broken housing market. What part of the cycle are we in? A bunch of different questions like that. So we're going to get started. I know, can you believe it? You are now a crash bro. So we're going to get your take on these things.
I like it. I like it. All right.
We're going to start with the broken housing market. And Rudy Home Loans asks and says, great videos always, Mike, but I'm curious what, in your opinion, would fix the broken housing market? Could you do a video on that topic?
I'm glad you picked this one. So I think there's a couple of answers to this. None of them people are going to like. One is what I think happens. And the only answer is time. And unfortunately, time is a problem. So you've been with me long enough, Mike, to know that I look at our 52-year spreadsheet because I think there's meaningful data in there. So, Mike, I will ask you a question, which we will probably do in a second video because I think it's that important. In 1978, let me get my numbers out because actually it was so important I wrote it down. In 1978, we did 4.8 million transactions, 800 new, 4 million existing. Then interest rates rose. What year after 1978 do you think we got back to 4.8 total transactions? So again, 1978, we have population growth. We have all of these things. How many years do you think it took to get back to 4.8 total transactions?
I would say probably between 8 to 10 years later.
So you're thinking would be 86 to 88.
Yeah, something like that.
The answer is 1996.
Oh my! Oh wow! Yikes.
So again, the answer is time. The answer is time. Now I'm not talking 18 years like it did last time.
That's a long time.
But it's time. That's how housing gets fixed. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody likes it. Are there things that could happen around that? Absolutely. And we will go to that next. But the short answer is time will fix this. And again, in 1978, we did 4.8 million, and we did not get back to over 4.8 million until 1996. Sit on that, stew on that, understand how much time is going to be required. So that's answer one. Answer two, we can incentivize builders. One of the things that I think everybody understands is builders have been building move-up homes and luxury homes because it's just flat out more profitable. Well, in a world where interest rates fall for 40 years, makes total sense. Trade up is easy. I buy the extra bedroom, the newer house, I move in, my rates down, payments up, rates down, prices up, payments about the same. Makes perfect sense. Not going to be the case for several years to come. So we have to incentivize builders to build first-time homes. Just have to.
Right.
Build the old 3-1, which probably hasn't been built in 20 years.
Agreed.
Right? That's the other one. Then you can start getting creative. One of the things that I read in Fortune magazine the other day was an article talking about, I'm not moving. You've got to drag me out. You got to do all these things. Basically the interest rate lock-in, which I've been screaming about for a year now. What if, again, if you want to talk about how to get nutty, what if you transitioned your mortgage that you have at 2.8 to a bigger home? Because right now the math doesn't work. In fact, the math doesn't work the opposite way. In this article on Fortune, and again, I talk to Lance Lampert, Fortune editor, every Thursday, talk about baby boomers. Boomers! They got the McMansions. There's a boomer in this article, and the math is really simple. Anybody could repeat this. They want to downsize, but they can't. I mean, would you downsize for a 50% higher mortgage and have a smaller home?
No, no one would. That would be dumb. Yeah. Just use less of your McMansion.
Yeah, exactly. Rent out a room, lock it down, plywood it or something. Who knows, right? But so again, I go back to 1978. And again, everybody has access to this. I give away the spreadsheet for free. It's in my free course. We did 4.8 million total transactions. We don't get back to that until 1996. So unfortunately, nobody wants to hear this, but the answer, as I've said for 2 years now, is time. Just time. We get back to affordability with time. It sucks. It's terrible. I understand. It's not fun to say, but it is what I believe.
It's a very disappointing answer because people, as always, being who we are with our short attention spans, living in a TikTok world, we want things now. And to hear that it would take one entire process of going from being born to becoming an adult to recover is definitely a depressing thing to recognize. Okay, well, then back on that point, kind of leading into the next question, what part of the cycle are we in? So at Kook asks, he says, hey, Michael, I read your book, One Rental at a Time, yesterday, right here. There are a lot of insights and I'm digesting and absorbing, but you never talk about real estate cycles in your videos of late. In the book, you mentioned your research showed 8-year investors' memories from a crash and 12 to 14 years for the full cycle. Could you please elaborate your views on where we are at in the cycle right now?
That's a great observation. It's something I haven't thought about in a while. So he or she is absolutely correct. And really what the saying is investors have 8-year memories in 12-year cycles. So basically you get burned, you remember that for 8 years, but the cycle runs 12 and you repeat your mistakes, 4 years later. That's basically what it means. So what I would say is I admit, and all the Crash Bros talk about this, affordability is at almost record low. 1981 was worse. We are at very, very close to record lows. It's terrible. It's horrible. Unfortunately, we have all these other things going all wrong, reducing supply, which is why the 40% transaction crash was right and is happening right now and not coming back. See 1978 to 1996. It's just, it takes time. So where we are now is affordability is going to stay low for a while. I've said real estate's going to be flat for years to come, not up, not down. And it's just going to take time to get through this. It's there's no forced sellers coming. Unemployment's at 3.4. Even if unemployment goes to 4.5, that's 1.1 million, 1.2 million. Half of those are renters. It's just not enough pain, not enough forced sellers. So where we are at is an environment where it's hard to be a first-time home buyer. It's frankly hard to be an investor. Really, the only opportunities are in fixer-uppers that don't go FHA. Right. I was able to buy 2 total dumps, and people can go through my videos. I playlist of just the crap. You had to pay cash. Now I happen to be lucky enough to have the cash. You can write the check. So you can make money, and I'm proving that even in the face of Crash Bros. I'll make $100,000 in 2 deals. One's already done. The other's listed and about to go in escrow. So it's still possible. It's just harder. It's just hard.
So one of your responses that I'm kind of getting, and it's especially impactful right now based on your last 2 answers with, it could be 18 years before we start to see the market recover back to where it was with transactions. It's really tough right now. And you're constantly saying people need to do the work. You can't just sit on the sidelines and do nothing. You need to go out there and you need to probe for seller weakness. And that leads us into our next question, which is, on the topic of you becoming a crash bro. This one comes from @Sentinel1945, and he says, so what you're saying is make offers commensurate with the truth of what you really think the market is. If they accept the offer, guess what? That's the true indicator of real market value and a bellwether indicator of the size of the crash to come. If you believe prices are in balance with inventory, then let's be honest, a lowball offer wouldn't work. So isn't this proof that you're just admitting a crash is coming and you're first to the field to say, hey, I'm going to get the lowball offers in first?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He or she, actually don't know if it's a he or she, is trying to correlate an individual seller's unique situation with the market. It couldn't be more. This is not stock or crypto. That would be true if it's stock or crypto. I have proven time and time and time again that I can find and or create and or structure a deal in a market that is going up, that's going down. So no, what I'm telling people to do is fish for unique pain. Real estate is not a perfect market. People don't get that. This guy doesn't get it. Real estate is not a perfect market, right? You could walk down a street and I could see two sellers, Mary and Mark. For whatever reason, Mary is in a unique situation. She maybe owns it free and clear. She maybe is desperate to go be by her grandbaby. I don't know, whatever the situation is. But she'll take, let's say both Mary and Mark's houses are worth 400 grand. Appraisal, blah, 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 whatever, right? They're both worth 400 grand. But because Mary is in such a unique situation, wants to go be with her grandbabies, the house will not appraise. She doesn't, or it won't pass inspections. She doesn't have the 50K to make it right. Maybe her, current value is 350. If you add 50, it's 400. But because I can have cash and can write a check and she could get on a plane next week, she might take 275. That does not mean that Mark's house is worth 275. Mark's house is worth 400. It's fixed up. It's ready. He doesn't have to sell. He's sitting on a 2.8% mortgage. He'll take 400 if he gets it. If he doesn't get it, he'll take it off the market. So no, just because I'm willing to do the work more than this other person doesn't mean that the true market is 275. No, it means I found a unique situation. I added somewhere between $50,000 and $75,000 because I'm very good at what I do. And I win, and all the crash bros sit on their ass doing fucking nothing. Simple.
Yeah, and I think it's an important point to understand right here is that there have been forced sellers in every market. There always are.
They don't even have to be forced. They just want out, right? There's forced sellers, meaning I lost my job, I lost this, I can't do this. But there are also some people that just give up. They want to move on with their life. This is the last thing holding them back in California. They want to go to Texas to be with their grandbabies and blah, blah, blah. They just want to be done. They're not really a forced seller. They're just done. You're the answer to their prayers. Go buy it at 275, move on, add $75,000 to my net worth, go fix it up, do a cash out refi burr method. I win, no money in the deal. See me later, buddy.
Agreed. It was a little trickier to find those motivated sellers, those people who wanted to be done. Now it's getting a little bit easier to find them.
Exactly. What was the hardest thing to do in 2020 and 2021? Because anybody would stick the thing in the ground and it would get 17 offers. Today, crickets. You go find a property that needs 50 grand. There are very few people, and I happen to be lucky enough to be one of them, that could write a check.
Right.
I win because I've been ready. I got prepared for 9 months. I took all of my commercial properties, brought the debt down to under 4%, 30-year fixed, stacked up the pile of cash, and now I'm deploying it. So no, just because Mary takes 275 does not mean the market's 275.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get back to you selling out and becoming a crash pro. So so at Chef Gromano 5025, he says, and this was on a response to you and Jonathan Twombly talking about commercial real estate crashing. We got 2 questions on this. He says, are you guys on the crash side now? Before you were saying no crash, just a soft landing. And then SF Rental 476.
Hold on, let's do one at a time.
Okay, go ahead. You can respond to that one first.
First and foremost, my opinion hasn't changed. And if you follow my channel, I've been telling you guys for at least a year now that commercial is going to have a lot of pain. Lots of pain. And Jonathan Twombly and I this week gave you an example. We took a $25 million building down to $8 million. That is really, really, really happening right now. That is an 80% crash. That is in commercial. An office building in San Francisco that is 20% occupied is not a single family home.
Right.
So my opinion hasn't changed. You haven't been with me long enough to realize that a commercial market is different than residential. The crash bros can't spell commercial properties. The crash bros don't know what a cap rate is. The crash bros don't know anything about this other asset. So they don't talk about it. I'm telling you that commercial, including multifamily, will suffer pain. There are syndicators that have already lost LPs money and don't know it yet. There is no housing crash in residential nationally. Could Austin, Phoenix, Vegas have pain? Absolutely. But I talk national. So commercial pain and crash, I have called and I haven't changed my mind. A commercial crash does not equal residential. And if you don't understand that, that's on you.
Right. And if you want to know the consistency in that statement, if you read this book, which talks about Mike's investing career since when he started back in like 2002 or something, he thought there was going to be a crash in the single family market because of the housing affordability index. And he didn't just sell all the single family houses and hoard cash or move it into stocks. He sold it all and started moving it into multifamily because the two markets sometimes move together and sometimes they don't. This is a case where you are predicting that they don't. Okay. All right. So next, the follow-up question, same topic, same video with you and Jonathan Twomley. He says, I don't know, or excuse me, SF Rental 4769 says, I don't know why you're so gleeful about commercial real estate crashing. Your C-class apartment buildings in Central Valley are going to get crushed. Remember 2008 and 9? Vacancies were way up as people leave. They double up. When coastal California catches a cold, outskirt areas get pneumonia. I'd be careful what you wish for. Your response was, I'm excited because I don't give a dang about my net worth. I care about cash flow.
Yes, clearly I'm getting irritated with the crash bros more and more. They don't understand, they don't pay attention. They take, one video and they try to make assumptions. So first and foremost, I'm taking great care to take all of my debt sub 4. My cash flow is ridiculous. It doesn't matter. Second, I have been doing this 20 some years, so I invested through that last cycle. And they're wrong, right? They're just wrong. Class A suffered. Class B doubled up. Class C, Section 8 housing did just fine. It did just fine. In fact, and I've said this, I think I even said it in my book, my quality of tenant in that crash went up because I had some B tenants come down to my units. So the quality of my tenants went up. My rents went up. My vacancies went down. I did have some collection problems early as I recycled tenants, but net, I made a lot more money cash flow in that last crisis. And oh, by the way, I bought a lot of apartment buildings last time from operators who didn't know how to operate a building. So good operators win. So I am excited. I don't know if I would say gleeful because there will be people that are hurt, but I have been building for what's coming for a year. I am ecstatic that I am right again and will execute again. So if I'm gleeful, I apologize if it came across that way, but damn it, I'm excited because I've been preparing and I'm ready.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference between feeling bad for some investors who made stupid choices and bought things they didn't understand versus mom and dad who own their own home. I mean, nobody wants mom and dad getting kicked out of their house, but when dumb investors put money into something they didn't understand and are now going to pay the price, I don't feel quite as bad. They didn't work as hard as me to understand the asset.
No, if you're speculating or gambling, you get what you get.
Right. Agreed. And even to add to your point, the single family rental market in Gary is holding extremely consistent with what it's been forever. But multi-units, you see two types of multi-unit properties come on the market. You see properties with extreme amounts of deferred maintenance because the existing landlord sucked up all the cash flow for 20 years. And now that it's time to do all the big repairs, they don't want to do it. So they want to sell it. Or you see that newly remodeled, beautiful building that's way overpriced relative to the rents. And the reason they're selling it is because it doesn't cash flow and they're bleeding because of it. Those are the two things you're seeing come on right now because people are getting their butts kicked.
I love it. I love that you do the work. Congratulations.
Okay, now here's another great question from the same guy, Kook Tech, who asked you about your book earlier. Clearly, he read it and he paid a lot of attention. He goes, "Hey, Michael, you always talk about learning what an average deal is and buying a great deal. But how would you pivot during different market cycles? For example, if you were looking at an average deal in 2006 and buying great deals, you would have had a decent buy and hold generating decent cash flow. But by 2016, there was so much change in the market, your original buy box must have needed updating. So how do you pivot and change your buy box over time?"
So the buy box never changes. My expectation of average changes. So roughly speaking, 2002 to 2006, I think I was looking for about a 7.5 or 8% cash on cash return. As I talk about in the book, as the market rolls over, I take about a 6-month window where I go, holy shit, what's happening? New experience, don't know what's going on. Then prices start coming down. So I take my acceptable average from 6 to 10. And then ultimately it goes to 13 or 14. So as the market changes, I simply adjust what my average is. The buy box never changes.
Right.
But what I believe average changes. So if you were to take my entire investment career, I would probably tell you the blended average is about 7.5. But very rarely has my average been 7.5, right? Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 6.
Right.
Right. Because you change with the market. Because again, I don't want to do average. I believe anybody and their brother can do average. I only need to do 1 or 2 deals a year. I've only ever needed to do 1 or 2 deals a year. I've just been doing it for 22 years. Some years I do more. Very rarely do I do less. And that's the daily discipline. As you watch it, you'll watch the market change. So that's what I do.
And for those out there, the buy box is the specific type of property he's looking at in the specific area. So, like a 3-bedroom, 1-bath in this zip code. And the average deal is the cash on cash return or yield for that property. So that cash on cash return or yield fluctuated, but the type of property in the buy box didn't. Got it. Right. Perfect. Last question, okay? Because everybody knows right now rent prices are crashing all across the country equally in all assets. Single families are performing exactly the same as apartments from California to New York. So, Mike, we're going to get your thoughts on that. So, at Lizard King 8388 says rents are going to continue to fall, and when, not if, the rents fall below the mortgage payment, there will be a negative cash flow situation for many people who invested in real estate at the nosebleed helicopter stimulus drop prices. Rents will drop faster than housing prices. So, Mike, can you explain to us why we continue to see articles that talk about rent prices coming down, but how that may not be applicable at all times?
So again, I've been doing this a long time. I will acknowledge that just kind of at the umbrella level or the highest level I think rents are soft across the country, generally speaking. I think what most people miss is the rent softness is in apartments, multifamily, not single family homes. Now there may be, everybody should know their market. I don't know theirs. I know mine. And that's certainly what it looks like in Fresno, California. Multifamilies, certainly the bigger properties are seeing some softness, but single family homes, people want to live in single family homes. And right today, given the affordability is so low, it's better to rent than buy. Mm-hmm. So, what one rental at a time speaks to most folks is single family, maybe duplexes, quads, things of that nature. Know your area. I talk to a lot of people in the group, and a few of them have talked about rent drops, but most people are flat or actually up in single family homes. Mm-hmm. So again, national averages will help inflation. It will be what helps bring down headline inflation, CPI, things of that nature. I agree. And I've said many times, back to one of the earlier questions, why the commercial market is in so much pain. Bad rent assumptions, bad debt structures, it's just everything that could go wrong in commercial will go wrong. And that's how you get a $25 million building worth 8. But single family homes are very different, very different. The goal of most tenants is to live in a single family home. Mm-hmm. And once they're there, they don't move. In fact, if we go into a recession, they will quote unquote double up. They will ask their sister, their brother, their mom to move in, because the last thing you want to do as a tenant in a single family home is go back to an apartment. It just is what it is. And you may not like it, you may not understand it, but that doesn't make it wrong.
Well, Mike, those were all the questions and topics we had for this week. And for the people out there watching, if you want your question answered by Zuber in a format like this, make sure you leave a good comment down below or reach out to me or him on Instagram. We do also react to videos that people send us. We do a lot of TikTok videos, and I got one that he's going to react to in a separate video this morning. Mike, appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.